major factor that's creating a gender gap in the South African business and work environment. Even though the gender gap is slowly closing, it still exists among entrepreneurs. According to Gugu Mjadu of the Business Partners Limited, many women leave their formal employment for a more flexible career and hours. These women who start a new venture should pay special attention to pricing their service appropriately according to this gender gap. So let's get a little bit more detail. Gugu's here. She's in studio with us. Lovely to have you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So we talk about these inequalities. What are they when it comes to that gender gap in entrepreneurial ventures?
I think more than anything in entrepreneurship, the gender gap would be caused by yourself as a woman entrepreneur, paying yourself far less than what you deserve, because you look at your work experience and you think, I was earning this particular salary, I want to improve on that, I'm starting a business, and therefore I go into business and price myself differently. Whereas you don't look into the market and look at your competitors and see how they are charging for their products and their services, and therefore you find yourself paying yourself less than what you should.
Yeah. Do you find that more South African women actually opt for entrepreneurship as opposed to a formal job?
Not necessarily.
No.
I think as a country generally, our entrepreneurship intentions are very low, and you find that in the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report last year, it was reported that entrepreneurship went down 30%. You can just imagine then with women entrepreneurship, that also went down in early stage entrepreneurship. Whereas in 2014, it was said that the ratio between men and women was 8 to 10 for going into entrepreneurship. In 2015, it went down to 6 to 10. So there's 6 women going to entrepreneurship for every 10 men that go into entrepreneurship.
Goodness
so it's
me.
something that we do need to look at.
Yeah, it's looking at that, but it's also looking at the sustainability. I mean, once you get in, you open up a business,
Of course.
and that's the problem, is that you find that, is there a study that actually looks, I mean, we see the amount of businesses and entrepreneurs that unfortunately fail within the first few years, but are you finding that the number is higher amongst women or amongst men, or is there no study really done to look at that?
I think the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor again looks at generally the businesses that fail.
Yeah.
And you find that a lot of them, 62% of them, when they were surveyed, said it's because of access to finance.
Absolutely.
But it's not always just finance. Sometimes you just need that person who knows more about entrepreneurship or that business that you're in more than you. So somebody that can be a mentor, doesn't have to be formal, but somebody that you can go to and get advice, so that if you encounter any challenges in your business, you're able to get the support that you need.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing, and I think the message to get out of this, especially from what you were saying about what women take out from their entrepreneurship ventures and whatever else, is the fact that women potentially undervalue their service offerings. And is that a problem? I mean, do you find that happens sometimes, and that women need to learn not to do that?
It happens,
Yeah.
and it starts in the workplace. Men tend to value their services and the hours they put into work much higher. They go into negotiations for salaries, and they can negotiate a higher salary than somebody who's starting the similar job. So as women, it's something that we need to look at, and there's various tips that you can pay attention to, and they're all part of the pricing strategy.
Give us a little bit of an idea. I mean, what should we do?
So look at your competitors, and you can be a secret shopper and say, what are you charging for this? So you get a quote, you get an understanding, oh, this one is charging this, that one is charging that. So if I'm charging this amount, it means I'm overpricing myself, or I'm undervaluing my services. But you also need to look at all the factors. So look at the practical expenses that you are putting into your business. So what am I wear and tear for my car? How much does it take me to provide the service? How many hours did I spend on this product? And then you use that to calculate your cost of service.
Okay, interesting. It's good advice. What other advice do you have for female entrepreneurs on what they should keep in mind when starting up your own business?
I think more than anything, find somebody that you can rely on in terms of support, in terms of somebody who's in the similar industry, but also share your struggles with your family, because family support is very important in entrepreneurship, especially for women, because there is always that guilt factor, especially with mothers, that you're taking time away from family if you go into entrepreneurship. So it's very important that you keep your family updated, including the little ones. You can take them to the shop, you can take them to your place of business, so they see this is where mommy goes when she's away from us, and this is what brings in the money. But also, I think as a country, just looking at how we can grow entrepreneurship, it's very important that we start in a family environment and make sure that our young boys and young girls are treated the same way, and also you expose them to as much reading as possible.
Yeah, it's such vital information, and it really is. I mean, focusing in on Women's Month and women's issues, and you do look at the pressures that women go under or are under, as opposed to, we had such an interesting interview a bit earlier about a savings culture for single women. Now, I mean, let's talk about a single mother who has enough guts to go into an entrepreneurial job. You know, I mean, that in itself is something, it's so difficult because, you know, the risk is so high.
It's so much higher because you don't know where you're going to get the money to support your child. Luckily, if you have a good partner who can support you, that's great, but you're still all alone, and actually when you come back home, there's no one to talk to. And that's where maybe parents and other friends that can help you, but also that's where a mentor comes in. I think more than anything, I stress a mentor, having a mentor as a woman entrepreneur, because that's the only way you can gain the support that you really need to grow your business. And it can be a male mentor.
I want to talk a little bit more, or just give some information about what it is that your company actually does.
Business Partners offers business finance. So from 500,000 to 50 million rands. We also have business premises which people can rent from us, entrepreneurs. And we then have a mentorship program where we encourage a lot of people, even if you just approach us for mentorship, we have lots of mentors that are available at our offices. Yes, you pay for the service, but if you look for basic information or basic advice, you can just drop by our offices, and there's always mentors who can support you.
Fantastic. Just your website address if people want to find out more information.
That would be businesspartners.co.za.
All right, so as simple as that. Businesspartners.co.za. Perhaps if you're looking for financing and if you are approved, this could be the way to go. You never know. Thank you, Gugu. Thanks for talking to us here on the program. Very, very interesting, looking at that entrepreneurship amongst women and men, and just, you know, some of those issues facing women in the business sector these days. Gugu Mjadu is a business partner there with Business Partners Limited. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program.
Thank you, Leanne.